Welcome back, everybody. Cotter pen and the tool. We might as well start this episode out in a similar fashion as the previous one. First thing we did back then was to take these hood hooks off. So the first thing we'll do today is put them back on. I've got all the pieces sandblasted, cleaned up, and they all look good. So spring goes in, guide that hook through it. There we are. Lift the spring so that we can pry it up with the tool. And let's see if we can find cotter pin hole right there. Okay. Redo. It's all ruined now. So let's down for take two. Welcome back, everybody. Is this Groundhog's Day? It's almost like we've been here before. So we'll put it together this time, try to be smooth about it. You all know what's going on by now. See if we can stumble our way through this time. All right. We'll have to lift the spring. I'm just putting the cotter pins in straight for now because I do like to take all of these hooks and springs back out for the painting process. So we've just got a new cotter pin. We are not going to bend the legs, do anything of the sort. But they'll hold themselves in as long as we need them to be. All right. Thankfully, we've got past this cringy intro. So let's fit some sheet metal. A couple things I need to take care of first. I've had this old GoPro mag mount covering my exhaust manifold opening, as well as this rag plugging this upper connection at the radiator. I don't have any of the lower connections in place yet either, because once we place the hood on here, we can finally start adjusting all of our gaps and lines. So the radiator may still need to move forward, back, side to side, so I didn't want to clamp any of that. Our brace rod is still loose, you know, just things like that. Also, a couple people have asked how I'm going to protect the air cleaner pipe from being scarred by placing the hood over it. I left all these bolts loose for that reason. I'm just going to take this right off until we get kind of our accent lines and our gaps and everything pretty much where we want them, and then I'll start throwing like our exhaust pipe in, air cleaner back on. We can make sure we center up with the pass-through holes in the hood after that. One question I do have for anyone watching that may have more knowledge about these tractors than I. The grill, I've noticed, has what looks like a couple of old rivet holes, one on each side, and it's almost as if they may have had like an anti-rattle or anti-wear strip placed between the hood and the grill at one point. I've done some research in the parts manual, and I see no mention made of anything that would have went between those pieces. So if anybody knows if they had one at one point in time, go ahead, post up in the comment section down below. I'm not against putting something in there. They didn't have anything on the tank, just this double layer strip for anti-wear purposes. So if that was for rattle or squeaks possibly, or maybe this one just has a couple of mystery holes that somebody put in it for who knows what, let me know what your opinion is. Line up well there. That's acceptable. That's a little bit high right through there. We're really wide there. That lines up though. That isn't bad back here. maybe a little bit high in this spot right here. I could probably try to take that one down. Other side looks good on the tank. You see now why I leave all of that radiator mounting loose. We've got excellent adjustability yet. Plus the bottom part of the radiator will slide fore and aft just a little bit too, so. We're not locked into anything yet, which makes the fit up process a lot easier. And giving it a look, we're already starting out very close to right. This accent line and that one, right on. Gap is good right there. We follow excellent around to there. You can't ask for any better. All down through there, along with the alignment at the bottom. For being an X-Factor replacement hood to a mismatched grill, you don't get any closer. I like how we're doing back here. We do have 2 adjustments to make. So we'll take the straight edge. I'll show you the first one. What we do is we align the straight edge with the bottom of this straight accent line on the hood. And we can see how we've got a tighter gap on the fuel tank seam at the front than we do toward the back. I'm thinking we need about another 1/8 of an inch padding underneath the fuel tank supports at the front. Otherwise, it is very, very close, just the way it is. So that's adjustment number 1. Adjustment number 2 has to do with how we get a little bit tall right there. And for an old tractor, that still would be passable, but I think we can make it a little bit better. We're tall here, we're tight on the radius, but then we're inset further deeper in from the grill back here, and we kind of follow it the same way on the back. We get kind of tall there, we're tight on the corner, and if anything we cant out a little bit down here. So what we have to do, make this one lower, make that one stand out farther, and make that part more vertical. Or to better visualize it, we'll carefully bend it a little bit more on that radius. We will push down right here, and then we will support right here, because right now we're tight where my fingertips are and we're up where my palms are. What we want to do is basically cinch it like that, okay? That's what we're trying to accomplish. And what we're mainly going for right now with raw metal is what I call the shine line. All right, this would be the shine line right off my 2 fingers. You can see it follows from the grill, down the hood, down the tank. It's nice and straight, and we're well lit in here, so we can just utilize that light bouncing off of that edge. We can work it up for verification, we can work it down. It follows, and we want it to be nice and straight all the way back. If it had a little bit of a jog on the seam, we know we had mismatched surfaces. And as much as this shows up right now just with raw metal, when we put shiny paint on this, it's going to further amplify it. So work the light to your advantage best you can. Lets you know if you're on track or not. That's our low spot right there. Put it even with the edge of the table. Light tin like this. We can pretty much work it out just with hand pressure. And now we tighten the radius. And next we shim the tank. And we fit the hood up one more time. I like the straight line accent all the way down to the fuel tank seam. And we don't get much better than that. We close that up. We match down here very well. And this is about perfect right through here. So I like how that fits. That's looking very good. I like the accent line on this side too. So logic dictates that if we can fit these three pieces together, we should have good clearance on the two pipes that have to pass through. So I'll get the exhaust pipe here. I left this out intentionally until I had this hood fitted. Just run it in until those pipe threads start to cinch a little bit. Okay. We've got clearance. I would like a little bit more here, but it'll pass through. Let's check that air cleaner next. And I saved you all the boring details of taking the hood off again, and then bolting the air cleaner up again, and then putting the hood on again. And all right, we surrounded it with the old white t-shirt scrap, and that's a doer. It fits. And I really can't go back any further because otherwise I've got where the tank seam runs around at the front. The air cleaner body's getting pretty close to it down there, but well, at least when I close my right eye, I can see we look like we're matching straight up with the exhaust of the air cleaner pipe. So, all right. All of that's fitting much better now than it did with that old hood on and before I had corrected the grill and then shimmed the fuel tank, and looking good. So we finally pulled the new muffler out of the box. This is the Accurate IH Repro with the logo and the part number and everything. Accurate original IH sound. Just want to fit it up. We've got good standoff off of the hood. It looks about right. Extension pipe, not too short, not too tall, liking that. And I've got my clamp for my old muffler. That's one that I made. And so there's kind of some history there. I'm going to reuse that as well. It's kind of modeled after an original style a little bit, but kind of nice to carry over one of those old pieces to the new setup. Let's make it permanent. And the clamp and hardware should finish up the high temp silver paint. So a few new pieces added to the clothesline. Extension pipe done, and everything here looks good. So just a little bit of housekeeping to do before I let y'all go. Couple of questions. Someone asked, why does the hood that I'm going to use only have just this one hole right here, and both of the other hoods have that hole plus another one? Okay, it's in both of them. So this hole right here provides you access to the grease fitting that is on this little bearing block for the lower steering shaft. But the second hole up top on these distillate hoods provides you access to the grease fitting that is on this universal joint on the upper steering shaft. So that would come in, and that universal joint yoke would anchor right here. So that's why those other hoods had a secondary position right there. Earlier hoods had holes for both of those positions. Later hoods only had the hole for this front grease fitting up here, because by that time they had started using universal joints that did not have grease fittings in them. They were sealed units for life. So that's the difference there. The second question was, how do you keep these tins from rusting if you're not going to paint them for the rest of the winter? Do you throw any protective coating on your bare metal to keep them from rusting? And the answer to that also is no. This shop is very well insulated. We keep the humidity out, and it's well sealed. We don't open windows and doors unless we have to. And all of the bare metal that's in the raw on old X231 here, the Minneapolis spleen prototype, we've been pecking away at this project for about 5 years now. This back casting's been in the raw the whole time. The only thing on it is some dust. So if you keep your workspace sealed up, well insulated, and climate controlled, in the climate that we are in anyhow, you can keep bare metal rust free almost indefinitely. So the tins are just going to stay in the raw for the winter, and they'll be just as clean come spring as they are right now. So that wraps the episode, everybody. I thank you all for watching, as usual. We've got a bench full of work left for the H. We've got carburetor, distributor drive, starter, generator, and then we finish up the wiring. And I think we've pretty much worked our way through the whole list. So we're coming down to it. Hope to see y'all back again. And I bumped the clothesline right at the end. Ah!